Hello and welcome to another review from the Geeks Assembled. Today we're going to be reviewing the James Bond film Spectre. Today we're joined by a lovely group of people who I'm sure are as enthusiastic about Bond as I am. Wink wink. First of all, we'll go over to Lee Wilson.
Thank you, Connor. What can we say about Spectre? After the huge success of the previous film, Skyfall, I was expecting something awesome. I was slightly disappointed with this one, to be honest. It felt like a mixed bag. They'd thrown everything into this film from previous films. I mentioned this yesterday to a few of the guys. The carnival, they did that in Moonraker. The train fights, Live and Let Die, From Russia with Love, the airplane stunts, well, that's nearly every Bond movie, and the car chases. It just felt like an old Bond film, nothing new to me. The acting's brilliant. Daniel Craig, loved him. And Christoph, who played Blofeld. Oh, sorry, spoilers if nobody's seen it. Yes, Blofeld is in it. As I said, they finally got the rights to use Blofeld, which is brilliant to see him back in the films. It's a very long film. It's about two and a half hours going on that. If they took out a lot of the talking, it would have been a lot better. Because the action is just awesome. Any of the Bond movies, the action and the stunts are just awesome. But as soon as they just start getting into the talking thing, it drops for me. So maybe they could have cut some of that out. I do like Ralph Fiennes, Ray Fiennes, not Ralph, as M. This is a new take on M. This is an all-action M compared to all the other actors who've played M. I love his portrayal of M. I wasn't keen on the actress who played the Bond girl, Dr. Swan. I thought she was just a bit dull, to be honest, to be a Bond girl. She had a sour face all the way through it. She could have slapped her. But all in all, it's a Bond film. It's not there with my expectations. It just felt like a mixed bag of everything thrown in. Story-wise, yeah, you can go with it. So for me, I'm giving Spectre a 007.
Well, we start off with a 007 from Lee, which is quite coincidental considering the title of the franchise. What does our very own Miss Moneypenny Susan think?
I was expecting a ton from it, like Lee said. I had a dream that it would be really, really, really good. But once they left the confines of MI5, MI6, that whole connected conglomerate of intelligence agencies, and went out into the field, it was like pulling teeth to get the snippets of intelligence out of it, and it was like it was difficult to follow any character's arc because of the conversations were stilted. It was difficult. I liked the interaction only amongst the intelligence people. I loved the guy who was playing the head of MI5, MI6, that conglomeration. The guy who played him was the same guy who's played the baddie in Sherlock, and so there was Andrew Scott, and so there was a level of already sinister expectation from him. And so spoilers, he was part of the whole Spectre that was like entirely driven to take things to the street. And there were things that I liked about it. I liked that the nano bots that they were putting in Bond. I thought that was timely, interesting, and science fiction-y. I liked the tracking device that they use. I love those images were incredibly interesting. I liked the Q. The quartermaster was ridiculously funny and good. He was good in the field, unlike the former Qs who were not able to, because of the age of the actor who had played it for so many years. He wasn't able to get out into the field and do location shooting at all. But this Q, he was out there, he was doing it, and he was demanding his stuff back. But the stuff the funny line was, I parked the car, and they were like at the bottom of the Tiber River. I'm like, yes, that's Bond. That's totally Bond. So that was a good Bond moment. Monty Penny was amazing, really well played. Really, a person of color, wonderful actress, really well played, and interesting, and with a little bit of I'm going to rebel against this whole system too. So that was fun, and she had that she was almost into that flirty, erotically charged zone, like she was bumping it, and so like that was fun. So anyway, I will give it also a 007.
Another 007 for Spectre. What does Alex think of the film?
Yeah, I tried watching it 3 or 4 times. I'm not liking the vibe of Craig. He's kind of humorless, unfortunately, in most of the movies. I have a strange feeling, as much as Skyfall made, which had a much better theme song than Spectre did with that really falsetto, the writing's on the wall. No. So I'm subtracting 3 points just for that theme song, and I'm sorry it won an award because almost all the other James Bonds are better. I grew up reading the books from the 50s and the 60s. I also saw Sean Connery. I've seen every single Bond film, and while a lot of them are not perfect, I don't like the way that they had Daniel Craig kind of humorless. I understand he's an assassin. I understand he's a killer. But Timothy Dalton did the same thing in the 80s. And I just found Spectre, it seems like it's trying too hard to be new. It's trying too hard to be a Jason Bourne type of movie. And I want James Bond. I don't want Jason Bourne. If I want Jason Bourne, there's movies I can watch for that, or books I can read. And I read the books too. So I'm going to have to give it 5.5, subtracting 3 points for the songs, subtracting points for the editing, subtracting points for the pacing. I'd rather watch Quantum of Solace, and a lot of people didn't like that movie. So it's not that I don't like Craig, I just don't like the style. I think they need to infuse a little bit more humor. They need to infuse a little bit more humanity in him. He just seems like a sourpuss, and I think all the other Bonds knew you had to wink at the camera, you had to tell some jokes, try to alleviate it a little bit, you know what I mean? Give it a little difference. So unfortunately, Skyfall and Spectre, just not my cup of tea. Sorry. Thanks.
So 5.5 out of 10. What does Craig think of Spectre?
These new Bonds with Daniel Craig, what I do like about them is the opening sequences. As soon as I'm sitting down watching it, I'm hooked. It just hooks me in. This particular one, I agree with. I agree with a little bit of what everyone said, especially what Susan said about the actual plot summary. But obviously, my favourite one is Skyfall. And I for the filming of Spectre, I was at the location shoot where there was a helicopter crash on London Bridge. And the weird thing is, when I was there, I don't know if it's distance, but it wasn't this huge helicopter that you see in the film. It was almost like a black coffee table that was smoking. And they'd sealed off, with all the police had all sealed off the bridge and everything for the scene. And it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, so they'd had the whole of Big Ben and the House of Parliament had extra light rigs up all down the walkways. It was just, and it was brilliant because it's nice at nighttime London, but to have extra lighting is just amazing for like shots. And I was in one of the sequences where obviously the helicopters crash, so what they do, they'll then say action, and then you have to run with the crowd. And everyone was screaming to say because the bomb's gone off, sort of thing. And I think it's one of the coolest things that I did, which was when it was being shot. And I got some great shots of the crash sequence. So that's my little claim to fame. Overall, I would probably give this one. It's a really tricky one for me. I'll give it an 8 out of 10.
So an 8 out of 10. Well, my thoughts on Spectre. Spectre is a really important film in the Bond franchise and in the timeline itself, because what it's doing is it's establishing a nemesis for Bond that will pretty much haunt him for all his 00 career. Spectre is a huge part in the original films before it came back in 2006 with Daniel Craig, and since it came back, and in fact since 1981, Spectre wasn't allowed to be used because of copyright reasons. So to bring them back here is a pretty major event, and to sort of form an origin story for the organisation itself and Bond's realisation of what Spectre is was a move that I think all Bond fans out there quite liked the idea of. I think in terms of an origin story, it sort of executes itself well. There are a few things that Bond fans and just casual viewers might not enjoy, like the fact that Franz Oberhauser, who is later revealed to be, as Lee mentioned, Blofeld, is Bond's adopted brother. The Oberhauser story has been in the books before. It was in the short story Octopussy, which of course was also a film with Roger Moore. And Franz Oberhauser didn't feature in that one. It was his father, Hans Oberhauser, who was a ski instructor for Bond, and also his adopted father. But other than that, I think as a film, it's a really good Bond film. It's classical. It's a classic formula that's been established. It's nothing really new in a way. There's loads of references in there. There's, as Lee mentioned, there's the Day of the Dead sort of carnival, which is in Moonraker. There's the train fights, which is in, of course, From Russia with Love. And amongst many others, probably too many to list right now. But I think the references at times are a bit too forced, but I enjoy it because I think every Bond film sort of has a reference in there, one way or another, reference in a previous film. And this one as well, Spectre, is a conclusion of a long, drawn-out storyline that started in Casino Royale, where this organization called Quantum, which is where the title of the second Daniel Craig Bond film, Quantum of Solace, came from, is unveiled to be Spectre. I think Christoph Waltz as Blofeld, probably the only Blofeld to be incredibly sinister and spooky and sort of subtle. He's great operating as a villain in the shadows. He's not really seen much in the film, unfortunately. He's not given much time on screen. He's unveiled in true flesh form in about 3/4 of the way through the film. Still great performance, and I'm pretty sure from what's been said, he's going to be coming back for the next Bond film, due to the fact that at the bridge scene, there's a few shady goings on, allegedly, involving the police officers. So hopefully he comes back in a sort of explosive way, and he will be only the second actor, of course, to reprise his role as Blofeld. The first one being Anthony Dawson in Thunderball and From Russia with Love. But yeah, overall, I think it's a great action film. You know, there's some great sequences. The cast overall are great. Ray Fiennes as M is the first time. He's great. He's not quite got to the level of Judi Dench yet, but hopefully in time he will reach those levels. Naomi Harris is Miss Moneypenny, great as always. Ben Whishaw as Q has really found his feet. Desmond Llewellyn, of course, was an iconic character, Q. He was almost irreplaceable, it seems, but I think Ben Whishaw is giving it a really good shot. Of course, no one's mentioned Dave Bautista as Mr. Hinks, the odd job Jaws sort of henchman. Great acting performance, I thought, personally. I think he's a really good in the fights, and of course he has a really gory moment where he gouges someone's eyes out. It's not as graphic as it was intended to be, but it's still in the film, and it is a really great moment. It shows how strong Mr. Hinks is, and it puts doubt into the viewers' minds as how Bond is going to dispatch of this henchman, but he seems to have done on the train. So I think overall it is a great cast. It's of course, as been mentioned, Andrew Scott is the only one that, when the cast was first announced, that I was worried about. But as Denby /C, he really shone out, I thought, as a villain. He was great to watch. I don't watch Sherlock. I'm aware of his sort of role in Sherlock and how important he is to the show. So to come from there to Bond, I think was a great transition, and I think he really did shine as Denby. Léa Seydoux and Monica Bellucci as the Bond girls. I have to disagree with Lee that I thought Léa Seydoux was really good as Madeline Swan. She's nothing new, but I think she does sort of like the tough girl act really well. Monica Bellucci, of course, isn't in the film for that long, but you know, I think she has a few good moments. She's sort of the widow in distress, and then Bond does his business with her, and then leaves her to be dealt with by Felix Leiter, who is referenced but never seen in the film, which is again another shameful sort of mistake, I think, for the film. But overall, I think I'll give this film an 8 out of 10. So now I'm going to open the floor up to anyone who dares to speak about this film. So go ahead.
Thanks for that essay, Connor.
Yeah.
Quantum of Solace, they're dishwasher tablets, aren't they? Sorry.
Oh yeah, he's on a roll. I've got to agree with I do agree with Alex that Daniel Craig is rather humorless. There is a slight touches of humour when he's driving the stolen car and all the things aren't working for him when he's flicking switches. I think they should add more humour to him. And also, I agree with Alex again with the theme song. What was they thinking? That was just. Oh, I think for me, that is the worst. That is the worst theme song.
You should try.
It even beats Madonna's, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean,
Was that Anthony and the Johnsons?
What's that?
Who did the theme song? Was
Sam
that Anthony?
Sam Smith.
Sam Smith.
Sam Smith.
Yeah, I mean, it's the bottom. It's the bottom three. I mean, I understand that they want a more somber Bond, and I understand that it's not supposed to be cheerful, but it's just the way they arranged it and then the way he sung it, and it just, you know, if he wants to be melancholy, there was other themes that they could have used. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean, Lee? When they had Garbage,
Yeah.
the world is not enough, or
it doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't even feel. It doesn't feel or sound like a Bond theme to me.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Just because, and you know, as soon as you hear a Bond theme, it's got to have that hook, and that one just did not have the hook.
I think my issue with the theme in this one is that it doesn't fit the film that well. It has a visual sort of reference to it being that, you know, at the end it's named.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
But other than that, you know, I think other than that, it doesn't really resonate well with the film itself. So I do have to admit that I don't think it was a great theme overall.
Yeah, but I mean, Connor, I can think of other songs. Like, I know people didn't like The World Is Not Enough, but I liked it. But it sounds like a...
Yeah.
The other one I'm trying to think of is, what is it? Tomorrow Never Dies. A lot of people... I was in the theater when that was playing, and a lot of people did not like Sheryl Crow singing the song. It just didn't. I did like the lyrics, though. I mean, I'll put up with it. It's not a great theme song. But, like I said, if they want to present melancholy, or if they want to present, you know, loss or how cold his job is, The World Is Not Enough and Tomorrow Never Dies are actually better representations. You know what I mean? It feels like it feels like a bad pop song in the writings on the wall, or a really bad attempt to be super modern. I understand they can't go back to the 60s, but I wish they had thought of another way to present the song, another way to present the movie. You know what I mean?
I don't see why they couldn't go back to the 60s, Alex.
Yeah, well,
I mean, honestly, there's such a chic retro thing that could happen. I don't know.
Well, I mean, guys, do you think Skyfall, the song, sounded more like the 60s?
I think it sounded like it should be. It sounded like a Bond theme.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of bluesy a little bit, like Thunderball and Goldfinger and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't originally like Skyfall, the theme, but it grew on me, and it is, as Lee said, it's a proper Bond theme.
I mean, people didn't like Quantum of Solace either. I mean, I thought it was okay, but yeah, I just have a strange feeling, no disrespect to you guys, but I think the movies are just trying to be too modern for modern's sake, and they're trying to be too fast. You know what I mean? And, you know, I want to see a movie where that was part of the fun of watching a James Bond movie, is that you felt that you were pulled into that world. You know what I mean? But it seems like they're trying too hard. They're trying too hard to be violent. They're trying too hard to have too many action sequences. They're trying too hard to be tough. And it sort of gets to a point, if you try too hard, then you sort of lose some of the grace. You know what I mean? I mean, I didn't like a lot of Roger Moore movies either, but I did appreciate the style or how they presented it. You know what I mean? I thought Roger Moore was too jokey, but I did enjoy the way the films were directed, and you know what I mean? So it seems to be missing something, unless you really want to be modern, but in which case the money penny should come with them then. On all, I mean, she has become part of the movie now. It's not like the old days where she was just there for 5 minutes or so. So, I mean, that I would agree with. That I find okay. But then why not just do it? Why not just have, Daniel Craig do one more movie as long as he's not asking for $1 billion, and have M and Moneypenny and Q, just like they did with License to Kill, work with him on the mission, and that's it. And just say, it's going to be a new Bond or it's going to be a new. And I mean, they might as well. I mean, it's not Doctor Who where they just change the actor. Bond, they don't even tell you. So why not just admit it? If they want to be real modern, say, we're going to keep the 00 section on a probationary basis, and we'll have one woman and one guy, even though that is kind of like the Avengers. But, I mean, to me, that would be the only other thing to explain why it's so modern. To me, I don't know.
Anyone else?
Yeah, Craig mentioned it earlier about it goes with the theme song, the intro with the the graphics and all like that. I mean, you're watching a Bond film when you see the intro with all the ladies and the guns and all like that.
Right.
But what an awesome intro with the octopus and all like that. But the song just spoiled it for me. The intro, but the graphics was superb.
Right.
They did a top job on the graphics there.
Yeah, I do have to agree with that. I thought that these visually these are one of the best title sequences for me, and there's loads of great ones. I think, in fact, I would go as far to say that all the Bond films themselves have great visual aspects in the title sequence. Sometimes the songs, it's usually the songs that sort of let down the title of the thing, but other than that, I think all of the Bond films have great aspects to their title sequences. So great job by what used to be Maurice Binder that used to do that. Since I've forgotten the name of the new guy that does it, but since changed. So anyone else have anything to say?
Question to Connor then. It's a what if question. What if Daniel Craig does not return for the next one? How do you think they're going to do it if this was supposed to be a 2-part film?
Well, what they'll either do is they'll rewrite the plan for the next film without Craig and probably without Christoph, because Christoph did say that he's not going to come back if Craig wasn't coming back. So it's sort of it's a double blow, especially because Christoph's character Blofeld didn't have much time in this one, so it would be a shame if he never really established himself even more.
But Blofeld in the books and in the films is pretty well known for using plastic surgery to change his appearance.
Right.
So
another actor could come in if he doesn't come back.
Oh yeah, they'll definitely have Blofeld in, but just not Christoph. So it'll be confusing to follow as a 2-part film.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It'd be confusing if the main actor doesn't come back and you've got someone else then, and this is supposed to be second part to Spectre.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
I think he will. I think he'll do one more, to be honest, because he hasn't said he's not.
He'll complete this particular story that's going on with Spectre in the second film, and then he'll probably leave, which is fair enough. He's done a lot of films. In 5 films. I can't quite do the math at the moment.
Let me see. You had Casino Royale, you had Quantum of Solace, you had Skyfall, you had...
Spectre.
Yeah, for 5 films. If he does the next
4 or 5?
He's done 4 at the moment, but if he does the next one, he's done 5. So that's a fair amount. Yeah, I hope he does return. He's a good Bond. I prefer him and Dalton as seeing as we're on the Geeks Assembled. There is a video up on the channel of a Bond ranking. If anyone wants to go see that, it's only my opinion. It's not the group's opinion in general. It's just
get that one.
No, I mean, I agree with you that I'm agreeing with you. I agree with what you said in the video for 85% of it. I mean, he is supposed to be an assassin. He is supposed to be a trained killer, stuff like that. He's a secret agent. So, yeah, as far as the books go, the Roger Moore is totally, totally silly, except for Live and Let Die and For Your Eyes Only. He's supposed to be a serious guy. However, problem is, just like Doctor Who, you have the actors do, 3-5 year arcs, something like that. And you have to be able to endear the audience to the character. And if you make him too serious, you can make him too deadly, you make him humorless, that's kind of hard to follow. And then, like I said, my problem with the films is it's not the performance of the cast, it's the way that they do it, the style that they do it, and the fact that the action sequences feel to me like a Jason Bourne character rather than a James Bond character.
My dad started watching the James Bond movies when he was a younger man, and he was a fan until Daniel Craig, and I don't remember our family ever getting together and going to a James Bond film that Daniel Craig was in. It was the last one that we went to as a family was right before Daniel Craig started. So I'm not saying anything about that, but I think that if long-term fans are like this actor hasn't captured it,
No, I mean,
they won't involve the rest of they won't stay involved in the Bond thing. And the Bond thing is pretty epic. I mean, it's been a long-term thing. I mean, since the 50s and 60s, right?
Well, I don't mean to jump in, Money Penny, but the books were written in the 50s. There was a lot more violence in a way. There was a lot more intercourse in a way. There was a lot more stories about him killing people, and there was a couple of stories where he did have a breakdown or pretty near to it, which they didn't cover in the movies as much because that sort of makes it very serious. I do like Dalton, especially. I do like Craig. I know he's a good actor. It's just the style of which they're doing it. I watched the Brosnan movies in the theater, and there was a lot more fans and a lot more in-jokes and a lot more humor than when I tried to watch Skyfall. It's not that people didn't like it, but they weren't old-time fans. So the women actually in the audience seemed to give a very strong impression that they liked the movie, but it was for kind of insulting Bond. It wasn't praising the character. It was kind of like, just like that sequence in Skyfall where the Shiv, or whatever his name is, the villain that takes out his jaw, and you see his face kind of droop. I guess they had like a homosexual joke or a homosexual reference, and then Bond says, well, how do you know that I didn't? You know what I mean? And the audience was very happy about that. I was not. I understand he's an agent, so he might have done that, but I didn't want to see it on film. I didn't even want to hear a reference on film as to whether he's bisexual or whichever. I understand that's weird, that's me, but I didn't want to hear it. I have read books since Ian Fleming. I read 3 other authors, and there is more modern sexual things going on, but that's not a fan. I just read it, so I still know the material. You know what I mean? I understand they have to update it. I understand that. But I think just like Doctor Who, just like science fiction, you have to present it a certain way. You have to craft it a certain way. I just feel they haven't done that with the Craig movies. I know they're trying to. But I just feel, like I said, it was a different experience watching it in the theater, watching a Connery movie versus a Moore movie versus a Brosnan movie versus a Craig movie. And I don't know if that's time or the audience or the age of the audience. I'm not 100% sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a good point, well articulated there, I think. Anyone else have anything to say?
I think they also updated Goldfinger. He's done like an updated version. that was released, or something happened with that book. One you guys.
Well, Ian Fleming kind of updated it. He's been dead for over nearly 50 years now.
Well, I mean, in the book, Pussy Galore was bisexual, really. Think about it. But again, that was the 1960s, and they weren't going to bring that up in the movie.
I thought that was.
Well, she's sort of not meaning to go off topic with Spectre, but I think in Goldfinger, she sort of is played in a bisexual sort of way. I think she is quite. She seems like she's not fully set on just wanting men in her life. You know, she wants, because obviously she's got her flying circus, which is full of really good-looking blonde women, which you know, all of them are stunning as well. There's not an ugly one. Not meaning to go into the appearance of people, but you know, there's not an ugly one amongst them. So I think in a way it sort of hints at, you know, the Pussy Galore.
No, but in the book, it's not a hint. It's
yeah. I know it's another reference. Sort of
but also, guys, I want to backtrack a little bit very quickly. Even Ian Fleming said that was a little bit of nonsense. That James Bond was not supposed to be taken seriously. You know what I mean? So I want to backtrack too. That, you know, when we're talking about fictional characters, go ahead, Lee.
No, but it's not to be taken seriously. This is why I think the Daniel Craig portrayal of Bond should have just a little bit more humour, and he would be okay for most of the fans, to be honest. Just put that humour back. Just put that humour back.
I guess I've watched him all, even with his portrayal. So, I mean, it might maybe just be his sex appeal or something. But he's I haven't quit watching the things. I just I enjoy the brilliant sort of exciting action, and it does sort of catch you up. I mean, I did feel like I was running across that roof with him.
Yeah.
You know, I did feel that kinetic connection, and that was, I mean, that's always great. It should just disorient you just slightly to suck you in, and so excellent cinematography done beautifully. I was definitely kinetically connected.
Anyone else?
Well, somebody else just messaged that they wanted to be in the Zoom, but
Too late now.
Too late, yeah. Well, if that's what everyone else has, does anyone else have anything to say? Finally,
No.
Here's another 50 years of Bond.
yeah. I hope so.
Yes.
another 100.
Happy 50th Bond. Yeah. Sorry. Go on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with Lee. I think Bond should go on for another 50 years. That would be great. So, on that note, I suppose we'll wrap up here. And thank you all for joining me in this review. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter. Join our Facebook group. You know, all those random social media plugs that anyone likes to do. Thanks very much. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time for The Wizard of Oz, I think it is, next week. So, see you later.